So here we have it. Orruk Ardboy Boss Warscroll Design Contest. Here are all the submissions. For those of you who don't know what we're doing, this Warscroll doesn't exist yet, but we got a preview for the sculpt. So, we're designing Warscrolls for it. Maybe GW's paying attention. Maybe they haven't decided what they're going to do with this yet, and they're going to let us let us pick what it is. Yeah, I mean, besides that, those were that, like, there's not really very many rules besides that, right? Like, it's you have to design it as a foot hero. You have to include all the stuff. If you want to vote for which one you think is the best one, which one you would like to see on the tabletop, come in Discord and vote. Link in the description. The only stipulation really about this contest that I kind of made in my own head is that it has to be something that's realistic, right? So if anyone, not that anyone did, I don't think, but if somebody submits like, oh, it's 25 points and it does 1 billion damage, right? Like, well, obviously that's not, like a relevant Warscroll design. So it has to kind of be realistic, and you have to imagine that you're gonna put this on the table, so it exists within context of every other Warscroll that's in the game and in our army in particular, right? So you have to keep that in mind. So, like, for example, some good units to compare it to are obviously going to be the Mega Boss, the Kiloboss on foot. What's another, like, I think that's pretty much all that we have, right? For, like, foot heroes that are, like, kind of fighty or supporty, right? Because it's not a wizard or anything. Maybe, like, a war chanter. Anyway, let's get into it. First, we got Ardboy Big Boss. The artist of Ardboys, these Orruks could well make their way as brutes, but prefer being the big fish in a small pond. What they lack in size, they make up for in experience, armor, and as many weapons and spiky bits as they can carry. Cool flavor text there. An Ardboy Big Boss is armed with a Big Boss Choppa and a Big Boss Haka. So, I guess we can also think about comparing them to Ardboys, obviously, right? Like, that would be a fairly good comparison, because I have a feeling that that's going to come up a few different times. So, Big Boss Choppa, 3 attacks, 4-3-0-1. So, that is the Ardboy Choppa profile, right? So, that's what that is. And then the Big Boss Haka, 2 attacks at 3-3-1-1. So, overall, not a lot of damage coming out, right? The damage is 1. It can get buffed by the War Chanter, right? But, you're looking at a maximum of 5 damage here from this Warscroll, but realistically you're looking at quite a bit less than that. So this on its own, this Warscroll for 110 points is not going to be hitting hard at all. Raging Shout. The power of the Wa augments the big boss's shout, carrying them over the din of even the most brutal battles. When this unit gives the all-out attack command to a friendly Orruk Ardboy unit, increase their Ren by 1 until the end of that phase. This effect is in addition to the normal effects of all-out attack. So this hero does not have the totem keyword, right? Hero, Ironjot, Orruk, War Clan. So it means that it's got to be wholly within 12, which is probably fine, right? Because this hero's most of the time probably going to be within 3 inches of an Ardboy line, right? So, but it'll be like, maybe if you have 2 units next to each other, this boss kind of sits in the middle, right, and can do that. So that's cool. 1 rend is very good. All-out attack, not as good. I would have almost liked to say that, like, it could just give an Ardboy unit rend. The trouble with this ability is that because the Mega Bosses double and triple their command points, or their commands, you're going to want to be giving all-out attack through them. In addition, all-out attack is not a particularly good ability in whatever it is, in Big Wa, right? Because we get +1 to hit at some point. So let's read on. When this unit gives the all-out defense command to a friendly Orruk Ardboy unit, subtract 1 from wound rolls made against that unit until the end of that phase. This effect is in addition to the normal effects of all-out defense. Cool. So you're just buffing all-out attack and all-out defense. Probably better in Iron Jaws, but then pigs are better in Iron Jaws than Ardboys, right? So all-out defense. I mean, this definitely is going to make that. I almost like this second ability, or the second part of the ability, more. The -1 to rend is good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good. Having no rend and then getting a rend it matters. So that's pretty cool. Okay, second ability, Promise of Pain. The fear of the big boss's wrath keeps his boys in line even when they're at the breaking point. If any Orruk Ardboy unit wholly within 15 of this hero suffers losses from battle shock, roll a d3. Subtract that number from the total number of models that flee. So it's that's a cool ability, right? The Ardboy boss is going to prevent d3 models from running. Not as good as all part of the plan from a kill boss, but good. I mean, like losing an like the Ardboy bravery is only 5, and then it gets +1 with the standard bearer. So most of the time, this unit's bravery is 6. In a unit of 10, bravery can be a problem, right? Ardboys aren't that hard, really, right? It's a 4-up save, 2 wounds apiece, and then sometimes they get that 6-up ward. It's the rally is the thing that keeps them going, right? Because like they can survive like shooting, or they can retreat and rally and stuff, right? But so that's pretty cool. So 4-inch move, standard, 4-up save, standard, 5 wounds, standard, 6 bravery, pretty standard across the board. You're not going to be heroic recovering this unit. So pretty good. So in the Discord, if you're voting, this is option number 1. So if you're voting in Discord, this is Warscroll number 1. They're all going to be called Ardboy Big Boss. Next time, I have to make sure that people give them unique names, like Ardboy Big Boss, and then it has to have a nickname, right? It's got to have a nickname. Second Warscroll, a little bit blurry. So the save is a 3-up, so we went from 1 more point. We're at 140 points this time, so now we're competing for the same slot as a Orruk Mega Boss. Armed with a Savage Boss Haka and Choppa and just enough Morkish know-how to browbeat his rampaging Orruk underlings into a disciplined killing machine, the Ardboy Big Boss is large and very much in charge. So let's see what we got for weapons here. So we have a 2-inch Savage Boss Haka. I'm pretty sure in the last one, yeah, they're both 1-inch. So 2-inch Savage Boss Haka. That's pretty cool. And then it looks like it's very similar to the Ardboy profile at 4-3-1-2. So 1 more damage and 1 Ren. So that's pretty cool. And then the Savage Big Choppa, 3-3-1-1. 3 attacks at 3-3-1-1. So all of a sudden, the damage of this unit is going to be a lot higher than the previous one, because the maximum damage is going up to 9 from, I believe, 5 in the previous Warscroll. A Mega Boss on foot's maximum damage is 16 at 3-3-1-2. That's the attack profile for a Mega Boss. So 3-3-1-2. So, you know, these two profiles are like, obviously they're a little bit worse than a Mega Boss on foot, right? Because the Mega Boss on foot is going to have 2 more attacks, and its profile is better than both of these, right? So not hitting as hard for a Mega Boss on foot, so you have to keep that in mind, right? It's not going to be as fighty as a Mega Boss on foot, but it's going to be more fighty than the last Warscroll. But the option number 1, the Warscroll for option number 1 was only 110 points. So let's see. An Ardboy Big Boss is armed with a Savage Boss Haka and Choppa. Okay, no running from a fight, you gets. While an Ardboy unit is within 3 of this unit, do not roll Battle Shock tests for that unit. So, immune to Battle Shock. Battle Shock can be a problem for the Ardboys, as I was saying previously, but being immune to Battle Shock tests is pretty strong. But it seems good. So, again, no fleeing. This is how it's done, lads. If this unit deals 1 or more wounds to an enemy unit in this combat phase, pick an Ardboy unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be inspired until the end of the combat phase. An inspired unit adds 1 to hit and wound rolls for melee attack. So, if your Orruk Big Boss fights first and gets through, which is going to be a little bit tricky against some targets because you're only throwing 6 dice here, right? So there's like, and it's only 1 rend, so it's reasonable that, you know, you're going to get no damage through against high save targets or against targets with wards. So I'd have to sit down and plug in the numbers into, like, you know, like a damage calculator or whatever, but it seems to me like there's actually like the chances of whiffing on this seem to me like maybe like 1 in 4. But again, I'd have to sit down. But then +1 to hit, +1 to wound for melee attacks. Better in Iron Jaws than in Big Wa for reasons I stated before, right? Because we get +1 to hit, +1 to wound. board wide for melee attacks. So, the Mightiest. Once per game, this unit can issue the Mighty Destroyer command ability to a unit of Ardboys, even if it was already issued by another unit this turn. A unit receiving this command cannot receive the command, same command twice. So once per game, Mighty Destroyers. So it costs a command point, right? So you have a Mega Boss and you issue Mighty Destroyers and you move a bunch of units, and then you can issue it once more for a unit of Ardboys to move, but you still have to pay that 1 point. So I don't know what, to be honest, I'm not sure how valuable this is, because if you're playing with a Maw Crusher, or if you're playing with a Mega Boss on foot, because that's what you're competing with here, right? You're competing with that Mega Boss on foot slot that you've already moved 3 Mighty Destroyer units up the board, right? And so how much do you really value Mighty Destroyers again on an Ardboy unit when you can spend a command point, because it's going to be a command point, to run them 6 inches? So is it better to move the 3rd or the 4th unit, and it has to be an Ardboy unit in the hero phase? Or is it better to run 6 in the movement phase? When, like, you could want to Mighty Destroyer pile in, or Mighty Destroyer charge, maybe. But not gonna lie, like, for 140 points, a Mega Boss on foot's gonna hit harder. He's pretty much better at giving out like all out attack, all out defense, right? Like giving out commands. And then Mega Boss on foot has all that other realm where he can do like Inspiring Presence and redeploy and all these other commands as well. So how much do we really value no one running in Battle Shock? That's the question here, right? How much do we value not running in Battle Shock? +1 to hit and +1 to wound is good, right? But it's going to be an Ardboy unit, right? And it's going to be in melee. So in Big Wa, it's like, you know, like, are you being so aggressive that Ardboys are getting in before you're getting +1 to hit, right? Or like how because your Ardboys are going to be super slow. So, and you can't like teleport them, because then they lose the ability, right? Because the hero doesn't teleport with them. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you tell me what you think in the Discord. Next one, 110 points. So we're back to that, like, you know, that smaller foot hero. An Ardboy boss is armed with a Choppa and a boss Haka. So the Choppa is very similar to the Ardboy profile. It has 1 more rend and 1 more attack. So it's kind of like an Ardboy champion, right? With 1 more rend. And the boss Haka 3322. So that's actually a pretty decent profile. That 2 rend is going to be nice, and that 2 damage is going to be nice. So, let's compare it to a brute profile. So the Jagged Gore hack on the brute is 3321. So with 2-inch range. So this is actually a little bit better than anything that a brute can do. There's no profile on a brute that's better than 3322, because there's like 4312, 3312, 4322. So it's kind of like a Gore Choppa, probably, is the closest comparison. So, so 3 attacks. So this is hitting harder than a single brute model, for sure, just with the boss Haka. And then the Choppa is going to add some damage on top of that. And if you give this Violent Fury, like, this is suddenly going to hit a lot harder, right? It's 7 dice total, and the Mega Boss has 8, so the Mega Boss's maximum damage is 16. So this is going to be less damage than a Mega Boss, but I think this is approaching closer to the Mega Boss than any of the Warscrolls we've seen so far. Let's get moving. For an Orruk, the only thing worse than not fighting is being the last to get stuck in. Cool. Once per turn, this unit can issue the At the Double command ability to itself and an Ardboy's unit within 3 without a command point being spent. See, this is, in my view, this is a much better way of looking at, like, this boss giving commands, because it's specifically at the double, which is something that the Ardboys are going to like and want, and it doesn't spend a command point, and it does it to it and itself. So this Ardboy unit and the Ardboy Big Boss for free per turn are going to be moving up the table. So it's like you can have like a little unit on the side that's like really like pushing up the middle, right? Because this could be 15 Ardboys, right? This could be 15 Ardboys with a free at the double every turn. So that's pretty cool. Like all of a sudden that unit's way more mobile. That's cool. Back in line, you get Ardboy units wholly within 12 inches of this model can receive the rally command even if they are within 3 inches of an enemy unit. So we're going to get into the fight a lot more quickly, and then once we're in fight, we're going to sustain a lot more quickly. Rally in combat is sick. Right? Rally in combat is sick. You're just going to be bringing back these Ardboys. It's pretty good. Let's get crumpin'. In the combat phase, after this unit has fought for the first time in that phase, you can pick one friendly Ardboys unit that has not yet fought in that phase, is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, and is wholly within 12 of this unit. That unit can fight immediately. Okay. After this unit has fought, okay. Okay, so that's like a doubling up. Like we've seen this quite a number of times, where it's like, you know, the hero fights and then the unit that it's kind of attached to fights, or vice versa. So, because this unit is going to hit a lot more, is going to hit a lot harder, is going to get into a fight a lot more quickly, is going to sustain the unit that it's with a lot better. So, I mean, and it's got a 3-up save. So, like this, for its points, for 110 points, is starting, like this, I think so far of the ones that we've seen is the strongest Warscroll, right? That doesn't mean it's the winner or it's the best Warscroll, right? I'm going to leave sort of what that means to you, but you have to put it, like, you have to put it in context of the army, and you have to put it in context of the other units, and like, what do Ardboys do? What's their role? What do we need them to do more, right? So it might be too strong. I'll leave that decision to you. So, right. So what number is that? Oh my God, this is so terribly. They definitely need, so number 1 is this one. Number 2 is this one, right? So we just reviewed number 3, right? We just reviewed number 3. Number 4, Ardboy Big Boss, 130 points. Armed with a savage boss Haka and Choppa and just enough Morkish know-how to browbeat his rampaging. Didn't we do this one already? I feel like that's exactly the same. They're very similar. I wonder if that text is taken from somewhere. Well, let's check it out. So boss Haka. So, I mean, the attack profiles are different. Oh, wow. So the boss Haka, 3 attacks, 4-3-2-2. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is the Gore Choppa profile. And that's a good profile, right? It's actually straight out of the... It's actually just exactly the Gore Choppa, except it only has a 1-inch range. Except it only has a 1-inch range. The thing with the 2-inch range that's cool about this is that it means that the boss can fight over the unit of Ardboys, that he can be behind the unit of Ardboys. And I like that. Right? I like that reach a lot. And then the Choppa, 4-3-1, 6 attacks. So this is what two Ardboys will do. Right? So not a ton of damage from the second profile, but that first profile is pretty decent. Right? We're looking at 12 maximum damage here, but that first profile is good. Can be kind of scary, right? Like hitting on 3s and 2s with 2 rend and 3 damage is cool. Like this is something with 2 rend, it's something you could even put destroyer on, you know, because it's like, well, I'm gonna get all out attack and +1, you know, like all their finest hour and all out attack if I'm not playing Big Wa, and then, you know, 3s and 2s with 2 rend and 5 damage suddenly. You know, like you can pump out quite a bit of damage there. Wouldn't be unreasonable to get, like, you know, 10 damage in. Okay, let's go, lads. After this unit has fought in combat, in the combat phase for the first time, you can pick one friendly Ardboy unit that has not yet fought in that combat phase, that is within 3, and is wholly within 12. That unit fights immediately. So we saw this ability on the last Warscroll. It's an ability that's come up, you know, like I've seen it in some of the Gloomspite Git stuff. So, I mean, it's good. It's like, what you're doing effectively here is you're adding a lot of damage to your Ardboy unit. When your Ardboy unit is fighting in combat, this thing's going to fight with it. So it adds quite a bit of punch, right? And like I said, those profiles are actually pretty punchy. Brutal boss. Ardboy big bosses are notoriously good at rousing the Ardboys to fight harder through a combination of shouting, intimidation, and sometimes of violence. Whenever this unit issues a command to an Ardboy unit, until the end of that phase, all Ardboy units wholly within 12 of this unit when the command was received, or wholly within 18 of this unit when the command was received, if this unit is your general, okay, can receive the command later in the phase without issuing a command and without a command point being spent as though it was issued by this model. In addition, if this unit issues the on the double command to a friendly Ardboy unit, that unit can run and still charge. There's so much here. So are you telling me, yeah, I think that's what it is. Okay. So it's like you're not doubling or tripling your commands. What you're doing is you're saying that all of the Ardboys within range get whatever the command was. So, it'll probably be most of the time twice. But it could be 3 times. So that's like, it's like the Maw Crusha or the Mega Boss ability, but only for Ardboys. And they can run in charge. 10 inches in charge. Like, that's scary. Suddenly they're fast. Right? For 1 command point, all of your Ardboys within range can run, so they can move 10 inches and then charge. This unit would make non-pig Ironjaw lists way scarier. Because don't forget, you could also then get them beat. Right? So it's like you're going to move 10 and then you're going to 3d6 charge. Like you're getting in there. Like this, if I saw this model, if this was the Warscroll, I would immediately be like, I'm going to test out 30 Ardboys in 2 units in a list with this guy. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 30 Ardboys, and then I'm going to do like a big block, like 15 Brutes, and this guy, a Mega Boss on foot, some War Chanters, and go from there and see what that, like Iron Suns. So that's pretty strong ability. 130 points is a lot, right? So this guy's not hitting as hard as a Mega Boss, although he does have 1 more rend for that 1 attack, but 0 for the other ones. So I bet you that they kind of cancel out. 3, 3, 1, 2 for the Mega Boss. So like this guy's hitting pretty hard, right? And then he also gets to add his damage. Like he fights with an Ardboy unit, gets them into combat like crazy, can give them all out defense. That's pretty cool. Brutal show off. When this unit is chosen to carry out their finest hour heroic action, it gains the strike first effect until the end of the turn. Okay. Does that mean that the Ardboys unit also gets strike first? Because it fights immediately. And so what? It gets strike first, and then Ardboys strike first, and then your second unit of Ardboys strikes then. So you're gonna fight with like a million Ardboys, or like a million units. Like you're gonna fight with 3 units before them. Pretty strong. This might be too strong, not gonna lie. Okay, so that was what, number 4? That was number 4. There's a really easy way to keep track. That was number 4. Moving on to number 5. Ardboy Big Boss. When the mobs of Ardboys gather, the guttural commands from this ferocious leader can be heard. Whipping the mobs up into a frenzy, they know how to get the most fightiness out of all the boys and relish in the destruction left in their aftermath. Jagged Gore Haka. 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 3, 3, 2, 1. So that's just a brute, right? Yeah, that's just a Jagged Gore Haka. So he just has a Jagged Gore Haka. And then he's got a Boss Choppa, 3, 3, 1, 1. So, yeah, so he's got a Brute Choppa and a Jagged Gore Haka. So he has the implements of brutes in his 2 different hands, or the 2 different profiles for like regular brutes in his 2 hands. Maximum 7 damage though, right? 120 points, 4 up save, 5 wounds, 6 bravery, 4-inch move, pretty standard. So, but not hitting as hard as some of the other Warscrolls that we've seen, and certainly not hitting as hard as a Mega Boss on foot. Units of Ardboys within 6 get +1 to hit rolls. So you can string units of Ardboys up. They just get all out attack. So he stands in the middle and just gives them +1 to hit. Yeah, I mean, again, better in Iron Jaws than in Big Wa. For Discrep, units of Ardboys within 6 of this model get to add D3 to their pile-in move. That's cool. Right? That's cool. Adding D3 to your pile-in. Get more of those boys in there. Again, it's like helping with having lots of different Ardboy units. And within 6 is pretty generous, right? Your 2 Ardboys can be like 11.9 inches apart. What ice says goes. Once per battle, if this model is on the table, select 1 unit of Ardboys within 6 of the hero. It can automatically pass Battle Shock. So once per battle, you can just pass Battle Shock. Cool. This one seems pretty well rounded. Adding D3 to pile-in is good. Getting +1 to hit is good. There's no command points here, right? It's like you're getting these like extra things, but you're not spending any command points. That's pretty cool. Pretty good Warscroll, not gonna lie. Pretty well balanced. Okay, number 6. Savage Boss Hack at 2-inch range. So now we're at 150 points. We're at 150 points here. So we're more than a Mega Boss on foot. Keep that in mind. 4-up save, 6 wounds, 5-inch move, so a little bit faster, but all pretty standard, 150 points. Savage Boss Hack at 2-inch range, so reaching over 1 line of Ardboys. 4 attacks, 3-3-2-3. In Big Wa, 2s and 2s with 2 rend and 3 damage, and if you throw Destroyer on this thing, it goes to 6 damage. 2s and 2s with 2 rend, and that's a lot of damage. Right, this profile itself with its 2-inch reach can deal up to 12 maximum. And like in Big Wa, 2s and 2s with 2 rend, you know, without having to spend any resources later in the game, seems pretty good to me. Right, the maximum damage from Mega Boss on foot is 16, and but he only has 1 rend. Right, he's 3s and 3s. Like this attack profile has half the number of attacks that a Mega Boss has, but this is better than a Mega Boss's profile. Right? It's 1 rend and 1 damage better than a Mega Boss on foot's profile. So, like, for the price point of 150, it's like, yeah, like he should be able to fight. So, and then the 1-inch Choppa, so 4 is 3 is 1, 1, 4, 3, 1, 1. So that's just a Ardboy with 1 more rend. So, with double the attacks. So, I mean, this thing can hit. Like, the second attack isn't as good, obviously, but it's still going to add... It's 6 dice, right? You're still going to add some damage in there. Let's see what we got here. 6-up ward. Okay, so he just has that Ardboys thing. Like, that's something. That's cool. All Orruk Ardboy units wholly within 12 of an Ardboy Big Boss have a move characteristic of 6. That's cool. Right, you're just adding 2 to their inches. They got to be wholly within. That seems fair. So the Ardboys move up first, I guess, and then the boss comes behind. Fight Ardor. An Ardboy Big Boss likes to make sure his Ardboys are fighting to their fullest, and if he thinks they are not, he will make them fight at their fullest. You can use this command ability once per battle in your hero phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Orruk Ardboys unit within 3 of a friendly model with this command ability. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, but you do not have to take battle shock tests for that unit for the rest of the battle. It also gains +1 to hit and wound rolls. So wow, so it's like you're probably gonna lose a model, but then they get +1/+1 for the whole game, and they don't have to take battle shock tests. So obviously this is best used on a unit of 15 Ardboys. And then they have a move characteristic of 6. So, I don't know. 6-up ward, whatever. Right? You got 6 wounds. Right? It's not that impactful. So, fine. +2 to move for the Ardboys. Like, it's adding movement and it's free. So, like, that's fine. You can also just, like, move and then charge, right? It's not like it's tied to running. So that's good, I guess, right? The last ability, though, seems to be the one that's the biggest, but I don't think it's going to go the way that you want it to. I think what's going to happen is you're going to buff it. You'll probably lose a model. They don't have to take battle shock tests, but I think your opponent is just going to kill them. Right? You're down a model, and your opponent's going to be like, oh, okay, so like that's... So basically what you're doing is for 150 points, you're going to buff 1 unit of Ardboys. Okay, well, your opponent's either going to avoid them or kill them. Right, your opponent's not going to walk into this. And they're Ardboys, so they're a little bit slower moving up the table. So I don't know. You tell me what you think. Number 7. Number 7. 110 points, so we're back into that cheaper kind of range. 3-up save, that's good. 4-up, right? 4-inch move, 6 wounds. Ardboy Boss Choppa, 5 attacks, 3-3-1-2. So, I mean, that's fine, right? Like, that's a totally fine. That's a Boss Choppa from a unit of brutes, right? This hits like that, but for 5. So maximum 10 damage with 1 rend, right? Like, yeah, like, not hitting as hard as a Mega Boss, obviously, but this thing can still do some damage. Right? This thing can still do some damage. That 1 rend is kind of like, you know, but you could, you know, Hoarfrost it or something else, right? But that 1 rend's kind of holding it back. If it was 2 rend, it'd be a lot, but then maybe the points would be too low. Anyway, let's see. Brutal Presence. After this unit issues a command to a friendly Ardboys unit, until the end of that phase, they can issue the same command to any other friendly Ironjawz unit without any further command points being spent. If you issue Inspiring Presence more than once in this turn, each unit affected takes D3 mortal wounds. Okay. So it says Ironjawz, right? To any other friendly Ironjawz unit without any... So you have to give it to the Ardboys first. You have to issue them a command. So that's the first thing. They can issue the same command. So you can issue the same command a bunch of times, but Ardboys have to be the first one. That's fine. Can you pick all out defense? If it's a unit that's not being attacked? That's a rules question. You'll have to answer that for me in the comments. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I mean, more... It seems fine. Right? Shepherd of Strength. This unit may issue the rally command to an Ironjawz unit even if it's within 3 of an enemy. So we've seen that ability before. It's really strong. Right? Like, a 4-up rally while you're in combat with 15 units. Or with 15 models. If you're missing 7 models, right? Like you're just gonna start recurring them all the time, and you're gonna put your opponent in a really rough spot. Like that's a very strong ability. Voice of the Wall. Once per turn, this unit can issue a command without a command point being spent. Okay, so you get to that should have been the first one on the list. So you get a command point for free, and then after you've spent your free command point to an Ironjawz unit, you can just give it to a whole bunch of other units. So it's like you're just handing out commands like crazy. And you're also rallying, so you can like rally like everything. I mean, maybe too strong. Imagine having 3 units of Ardboys on the front line. Let's say 3 units of reinforced Ardboys on the front line. They have to be wholly within 12, and then you can rally all of them for free every turn. Right, because this is once per turn. So I can rally 3 units of Ardboys in fight for free every turn. OP. I think it's OP. Let's just say 2. Let's say I could rally 2 units of Ardboys who are in a fight, and I'm standing behind with this unit with Lookout Serve Protection on a 3-up save, and I can issue them all rally. Or I can issue both units rally while they're in combat for free once per turn. Like your opponent's never lifting those units. They're staying there. They have to get rid of this guy behind first. So you give him an artifact of power. Right, you stack some other defensive buffs on top of him. Fix and beat. Right, with a amulet of destiny, 6 up ward on him or something. Right. But you just defend him, and those Ardboys are never leaving. Ever. I don't know, man. Seems pretty good. So this is number 8. I believe this is our last entry. Ooh, Ardboy Big Boss. Okay, so spear profile, sword profile. So this guy's got a total of 12 damage. Holy rend, Batman. 3 attacks, 4 up to hit, 3 up to wound, 2 rend, 2 damage. Good profile. 3 attacks, 3 up to hit, 3 to wound, 2 rend, 2 damage. Good profile. Maximum 12 damage, but very accurate. Very accurate, right? The Mega Boss has 8 attacks. This has 6. And only has 1. This might be better than a Mega Boss's profile. For attacks. 3 up safe. But a Mega Boss has 8 dice with 1 rend. This has 6 dice with 2 rend. Well, here we go, damage calculator. Because to be honest, if it's more damage than a Mega Boss on foot, I'm not sure that there could be anything else that you could add. Like if it's 90 points and it's hitting as hard or harder than a Mega Boss on foot, it might be an auto include. So 3 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, 2 rend, 2 damage against a 4 up save. We are expecting what am I missing here? 3 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, minus 2 rend, 2 damage. Okay, I mean it's saying 1.67 damage against a 4 up save. So, and then this is 3 to hit. So 1.67 plus 2.22, 1.67 plus 2.22. So, okay, well, not as much as I was thinking. It says 3.89 damage versus a 4 up save. So what does a Mega Boss do? 8 at 3.312. So 8 attacks at 3.3 minus 1.2, 4.78. So it's hitting almost as hard as a Mega Boss. Let's see what its abilities are. But it's like almost hitting as hard as a Mega Boss. You could put Destroyer on this thing, and I think you would have a good time. I think you'd have a good time. For 90 points, right? Like it's... Like 90 points is probably too cheap for this thing. After deployment, pick 1 unit of Ardboys to be linked to this unit. Only 1 unit of Ardboys can be linked to each boss, and they cannot link to any other boss. While within 3 inches of the linked Ardboy, the boss gets a 5 up ward. So he's definitely... Oh, 5 up ward. And he hits pretty hard. And he's... Oh. When an enemy unit finishes a charge move within 12 inches of this unit and its linked unit, you may issue this command to the linked unit, the linked Ardboys, and this unit may attempt a charge. So it has a counter charge. Whew. And it's when it finishes, so it's like... When an enemy unit finishes a charge within 2 inches of this unit and its linked unit, you may issue this command to the linked unit. The linked Ardboys and this unit may attempt to charge. So both get to charge. So you kind of like... I don't know. This ability's not that good, I don't think. Your opponent's just going to kind of play around it. They're going to charge outside and pile in. Or they're just going to charge this unit. Right? Maybe it's like if you charge 1, you have to fight both. But that ability's not that strong. But again, this 2 rend 2 damage. 6 attacks at 2 rend 2 damage. Right? Like, pretty strong. 8 attacks, 3, 3, 1, 2. Yeah, I mean... almost hitting as hard as a Mega Boss. The Mega Boss hits really hard because of Destroyer. So this thing can hit really hard because of Destroyer too. Right, 3-3-2-2. .22, like, probably too strong for its points. Anyway, join the Discord. Let me know what you think. I'm going to post all of these in Discord with their numbers attached to them so you can have a chance to review. So go check it out. And if this is something that's interesting to you guys, right, like brainstorming some stuff, I personally love it. Like, I think reviewing Warscrolls that don't exist is a really good use of my time. So if it's something you like, let me know in the comments below, and like, subscribe, and wah.